What's up, people? Boys, let's talk about how powerful PC you need to have to play AION 2 on Full HD 1080p resolution, on 2K Quad HD 4040p resolution, and on 4K Ultra HD 2160p resolution. And in the second half of this video, I will talk about what kind of the mobile phone and tablet specification you need to play the game. Now let's go to the one of the most important part which makes this video so unique and special to compare the other similar videos. It is me, your boy aluckyro. As far as you know, I'm the greatest AION 1 player that ever lived, but also I'm the greatest custom PC hardware engineer that ever lived. That's crazy perfect mix for this video, right boys? I have a company in my own country and I'm building the custom computers for the gamers, for the streamers, and for the people who works with the PC. For example, this is my 3 biggest project in the last 1 year and each of them cost between $10,000 to $15,000. Just check out these beauties. Each of them is based on Ryzen Threadripper 64 cores and 128 threads with 512 GB of working memory and the double RTX 4090s. Yes boys, this video is made by the professional. Alright, now let's move to the topic and let's start our first part for the video on the PC specs. And let me make some educational seconds for you. First, in your PC matters the resolution of your monitor. Is it 2K with 2560x 1440p or is it 4K 3840x to 2160p? There is also the mixed models with a resolution, especially for the ultra wide displays, but the main side is the number of the pixels inside your display. That's what loads your system, and as much pixels you have in your display, more powerful PC you need. For example, Full HD resolution 9020x 1080p. It is the horizontal 9020 pixels multiplied to the vertical 1080p pixels, and the total number in your display you have around 2 million pixels. But you know how much pixels are in 4K display? Just multiply 3840 horizontal and 2160 vertical, and that is the freaking 8 million pixels. It's the 4 times more than Full HD, and that's why it's called 4K display. And in 2K display there is the double more pixels than in Full HD. Basically, if you have Full HD monitor and some PC with its specs and you play video games on the maximum quality and you have, for example, 100 FPS average, if you just swap your display to 4K and try to play the same game on the same epic and ultra settings, you will have FPS like 10 to 20. That is the power of resolution. So boys, today we will compare the recommended specs in Full HD and 2K to actual possible reality which you can face, and I will tell you, does your PC can load AION 2 and on what settings? Or do you need to swap some of your part and make some upgrades? NCSoft did not present it 4K resolution specs, but boys, if you have 4K display, don't worry, I will touch about a 4K display and I will tell you what type of the PC specs you need to play this game good on the 4K display. By the way guys, you can comment me your PC specs in the comments of this video and I promise you to answer every comment and every case one by one, help you to find out is your PC comfortable to play AION 2 or you need to make some upgrades and what kind of the upgrades you need. So type me in the comments what resolution is your monitor, what CPU you have, what GPU you have, how much physical memories RAM do you have, what's your SSD, type down in the comments and I will be happy to help you. And if you want to help me back, hit the like button for this video and hit the subscribe button for my channel, since I'm the greatest AION 1 player that ever lived with then 15 years of hardcore gameplay experience, and if this game is new for you, it's just another expansion for me. Alright, let's move and let's see what NCSoft offered us. First, we have the Full HD minimum recommended specs. It starts with some general things like Windows 10 or 11, and guys, if you have Windows 7 or 8, it's time to move on. Second comes Ryzen 3300X and Intel 10400F. Both processors are 5 years old and they are the weakest once the time they're released. So it's not something like the crazy powerful processor is in minimal requirement. And guys, my personal advice, if you don't have these processors and you have the lower ones, I mean older ones, for example Ryzen 2500X or 2700X, or even on the Intel side you have i5 6400F or i5 9400F, you are still in good. For full HD resolutions, those CPUs will serve you on the lower setting without any problem. Now let's go to the RAM side. They say that the minimum is the 16GB of RAM, and I'm totally agree. I love RAM in the PCs, and 60GB is so low amount of the RAM today. Guys, you need to have at least 32GB if you want to play the good quality new games. Because if you're playing the game, you need to have Discord on, you need to have some Chrome tabs on, and those requires a lot of RAM. And one most important part in this case is the upgrade for your memory is so cheap and so efficient. For example, if your motherboard have support to add another 16GB of the RAM, DDR4 for example, it will cost you around $30. And if you have DDR5, it will cost you around $40. Just go to the aftermarket and buy used RAM. It's so safety for the RAM case. And that $30 or $40 upgrade from 16GB to 32GB will gives you a lot of performance and the freedom. That is the cheapest and highest efficient upgrade what you can make in your PC. But if your motherboard does not have extra 2 slots and you need to swap your 60GB to 32GB directly, take it to someone who like that offer, give him your 16GB, add him around $40 for DDR4 side, and he will give you 34GB RAM. And if you have DDR5, you may need to add extra $60 for exchange it to 16 to 32GB. Guys, you need to have 32GB RAM on your PC. That's my highest recommendation. Next, we have the GPU, and they are saying that you need the minimum GTX 1660 version for the GPU, 6GB of the version. But boys, if you have RX 4080 4GB or higher, and on Nvidia side GTX 1070 or higher, you still can play the game on the minimal settings, so don't be scared. My friend had RX 4080 4GB version, and he could play Throne and Liberty on the minimal setting without any problem, and he could participate in the Siege. AION 2 is Unreal Engine 5 game. It's kinda same engine and even more optimized for the games. And the final one, we have SSD. It's 2025 and I'm sure that 99% of you have SSD already, because without it the life is just so hard. And if you don't have SSD in 2025, just go and buy, because you was living in a hell, and once you will buy the SSD, you will feel the pleasure of the heaven. Just make sure that you have the minimum Gen 3 NVMe SSD, since the games have the huge files, and if you don't want to have the loading screen on your loading areas, you better have the minimum Gen 3 NVMe SSD. That was the minimal spec recommendation for full HD to play the game on the lowest settings. Mix it with my advice and mix it with the NCSoft recommendation. But again boys, if you have the wood PC, type me in the comment and let me help you to give you some advice for cheap upgrades to play the game. Now let's go to the recommended settings by NCSoft on Quad HD and Full HD monitors. Let's talk about the first on the picture, and then I will tell you my recommendation specs for play the game on the mid and higher settings on Full HD and Quad HD 2K. The first line is exactly the same, you need Windows 10 or 11, and the second line is the changed to Ryzen 5600X, or in the Intel side, Intel 12400F or higher processors. Is required if you want to play the game on 2K resolution on the mid and high settings. On the CPU side, I totally agree with the NCSoft. This is really good CPUs and they can do them job on its way. Next comes 32GB RAM, and again I totally agree. 32GB RAM is now the minimum what you have to have on the Full HD and 2K resolutions if you want to play video games, if you want to play connected in the Discord, and if you want to have some tabs open in your Chrome. 32GB is the minimum for your pleasure. So good recommendation on this side. Next, let's go to the GPU, and NCSoft telling us that RTX 3060 Ti 8GB version can serve you for play the game on the mid and high settings. On AMD equivalent, it's around RX 6700 XT. And here I have a problem. These GPUs are good to play the game on the mid and lower settings. it does not come near the close for mid and high settings, and I'm not even talking about the ultra settings, you know. So basically NCSoft recommended CPU is okay, but for the GPU, if you want to play game on the mid and higher settings, nah, you need the better one. The final recommendation is SSD, and I already talked about the SSD, so yeah, I don't even think that some of you who are watching this video does not have SSD. Alright boys, now let's move on, and before I go to the 4K resolution, let me tell you my advice for play AION 2 comfortable on Full HD and 2K resolution. What kind of the PC specs you need, because I already talked about the minimal spec requirements for start to game and play it on the lowest settings for 2K and Full HD, but what if you want to play the game on the 2K and Full HD and you just want to play on the maximum or higher settings? For this side, on the Full HD, you will need to have CPU like an Ryzen 5600X or better to feel yourself in a hood, you know. And on the GPU side, you need to have RTX 5060 Ti or higher. Even RTX 4060 Ti or higher can serve you good. And on the AMD side, you need to have RX 6800 XT or higher. That is the GPUs which can help you to play the game on the maximum graphical settings for Full HD with the high FPS rate. And the RAM, guys, again, minimum 32 GB. Now let's move to the 2K Quad HD displays. What CPU you need? It is the one of the best gaming CPUs on the market, and they are Ryzen 7800X3D and Ryzen 9800X3D. This is the monster CPUs for the gaming, and they are the best, you know. On the GPU side, you will need the minimum RTX 4070 Ti or even 4080 or better for ultra settings for the game. And on the RAM wise, if you have 32 GB, it's okay, but I would upgrade it for the 64 GB for more freedom. Again, I love the RAM. That systems which I told you on the Full HD and 2K side can let you to increase your game graphics settings to the maximum, and you will get the pleasure while you're playing it. Alright, now it's time for the big boys, and let's touch to 4K resolution, Ultra HD. Listen to me, my friend. Yes, I'm talking to you. If somehow you decided to upgrade your monitor to 4K, you better need to have these specs in your PC. CPU, you can have the same CPU like it was in 2K version, the Ryzen 7800X3D and Ryzen 9800X3D is one of the best gaming CPUs in the market for 2K and 4K gaming. But on the GPU wise, you need the minimum 4080 or better. Like 4080 is the minimum what you need to have in your PC, and if you want to play everything on the max, and if you want to participate same settings for the mass fights like an RVR content, you would better have like 4090 or 5080 or 5090. Because my friend, 4K resolution have 8 million freaking pixels in your monitor, and you need so powerful graphic card to render each pixels by the second. And on the RAM wise, if you play the games on the 4K resolution, better to have 64 GB. I don't want to see anyone who plays the 4K games have good PC on the CPU and the GPU wise and they have 32 GB. That is just a sin against the humanity, you know. And guys, that was my PC side advice. If you have any question or want to share me your PC specifications in the comment, I will be happy to help you. Just remember to type me the resolution of your monitor, type me what CPU model you have, what GPU model you have, how much your physical memory RAM is it, and I will be happy to help you to some upgrades or tell you if you can play the game and if you can, but on what settings. Just type it in the comments and wait for my response. Now, before I move to the mobile and the tablet side, I just want to ask you guys, if this video was helpful for you, I would be so happy if you help me back and hit the like button for this video. And in general, if you're interested with AION 2, hit the subscribe button for this channel, because this channel will be the greatest AION 2 content channel on the YouTube. Thank you guys if you just did what I asked you. Alright, now let's move to the mobile and tablet side. We have the NCSoft recommendation specs like this. On the minimal side, we have the Samsung S10 and iPhone 12 Pro. That's for the minimum, and on the recommended, we have S23 and iPhone 14. I think this is for the mid and higher settings. Now let's go to the deep for the minimal side. We will take the templates for the Snapdragon CPU GPU and for the memory. and S10 Galaxy have the Snapdragon 855 version. And it comes with the 6GB of RAM. Let's make it as a template, and let's say if your phone have 6GB of the RAM and your CPU is Snapdragon 855 or better, you can play the game without any problem. So just go to the GSM Arena, search your phone model and check that specification. On the iPhone side, it's so simple, you just need to have iPhone 12 Pro or better and you're in the hood. Now let's go to the recommended phones, and this will let you to play the games on the mid and higher setting, and on the Android side we have S23. And let's take the similar templates from this phone. On the CPU side, we have Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 processor and 8GB of the RAM. So if you have the similar processor and 8GB of the RAM on your phone, you can play the game on the higher setting. Just go to the GSM Arena, check what type of the CPU and what amount of the RAM you have, and if you're in the range of this template, you are good. Doesn't matter you have Samsung, you have other brand, you have Xiaomi, you have any other model of the phones on the Android, your template is the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 and 8GB of the RAM. And again, on the iPhone side, you will need at least minimum iPhone 14 or better to play the game on the mid and higher settings. The phone-wise, the minimal requirements are around 5 years old to start the game. So if you upgrade your phones every 5 years, you have really high chance to play the game without any problem. Anyway, boys, if you still doubt about your credibility to play AION 2 on the mobile, type me the model of your phones in the comment and I will be happy to help you. And if this video was helpful for you, please hit the like and subscribe button. That's push me forward so hard for AION 2's content. Now let's go to the final part of this video and let's talk about the tablets. Tablet situation is kinda similar like a mobile phone. We have the CPU and GPU manufacturer Snapdragon and Apple as an iPhone wise for the templates. In the minimal side, NCSoft's telling us that the Galaxy S7 tablet, which have a Qualcomm Snapdragon 8065 CPU and 6GB of the memory. And on the Apple side, it's a bit surprised because M1 CPU iPad Pro is not a toy, boys. It's so powerful tablet, and in the minimal recommendation for the play the game, I was a bit amazed, you know, that this is the minimal what you need to play on the Apple tablet on the lower setting. But on the higher setting recommendations, the system looks like this. Galaxy Tablet S9, which have the CPU Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, the same like in the Android phones on the higher settings, and the RAM we have 8GB. And on the Apple side, we have iPad Pro with M4 chip. I don't know what's happening on the Apple side, but M4 chip, that's one of the high-end CPU for the Apple, you know? That's a bit greedy requirement. But it is what it is, boys. If you're planning to play this game on the tablet, here is your template, and you can use the templates to compare what kind of and what type of the brand tablets you have. Guys, this is everything, and don't forget, if you have some wood PC or wood phone, don't be shy, type me the model of your phone and the tablet or specification of your PC in the comment, and I will be happy to give you some advice about some upgrades or what settings you could play the game. And if this video was informational and helpful for you, don't forget to hit the like button. And overall, guys, if you're interested with AION 2 and want to check all my hardcore guides about this game from the greatest AION 1 player that ever lived, hit the subscribe button. I'm an AION 1 hardcore veteran PvP player with than 15 years of experience, and if this game is new for you, it's just another expansion for me. That's it, boys, for today, and as always, see you in the next video.